has been a lawyer, a law professor, First Lady of Arkansas, First Lady of the United States, a U.S. Senator, Secretary of State.
Who I spent 8 years with in Washington. I traveled all across the globe. Who was a phenomenal partner in an administration with a record of accomplishment second to none.
But she has always been there. That's her life story.
She has never forgotten just who she's fighting for.
Fighting for women, fighting for human rights, fighting for a level playing field.
Advocating for kids with disabilities. Fighting for children's health care as First Lady. Affordable child care in the Senate.
Who fought for us, who was there for us after 9/11 when we needed a champion.
Fought so hard for funding to help first responders.
As Secretary of State, she has gone toe-to-toe with world leaders to keep our kids safe.
And brought respect back to the United States.
Who gets up every single day and fights for us.
It takes a level of generosity of spirit to do what Hillary has done in her career and her life for this nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former First Lady and Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
It's great being back here with you. It's kind of like a family reunion, and being here at the MAC at Hofstra brings back good memories of the first debate in 2016 against the Republican nominee. You know, that was also a little bit like the reunion, but the kind where you get cornered by that one person you least want to talk to. Despite that, it was a great night, mostly because I won, but those are the good old days. And I was thinking, I also remember so fondly being at this convention in 2000 in Albany when I became your nominee for the United States Senate. And I followed in the footsteps of Daniel Patrick Moynihan, someone whose words have been on my mind recently. Remember what he said? Everyone is entitled to his own opinion, but not his own facts. Well, as Democrats, you know, we believe in facts, and real ones, not the alternative kind. And it's hard to believe that even needs to be said, but that's where we are these days. And that's why it's so important what you're doing at this convention, helping to chart the future for New York. You know, there's a question that I hear a lot these days. What do Democrats stand for? Well, look around this room. You will see people who stand for an economy that works for everybody, who stand for universal health care. And even better, they actually have plans to get us there. You'll also see defenders of civil rights and women's rights, LGBT rights, the rights of people with disabilities. Now, I personally do not believe these are minor issues. They matter to millions and millions of New Yorkers and Americans. So much of the progress we've seen in the United States has happened because we pushed open doors of opportunity to people who had been shut out. And we, my friends, are not going back. Another question I hear is, well, what are the Democrats' bold ideas? Well, I don't know about you, But I think it's a bold idea that everyone in this country should have a decent standard of living and a good job that pays well. I think it's a bold idea that everyone deserves the best possible start in life, quality health care throughout life, and a safe and secure retirement. And it's even bolder to have real plans to make those ideas into realities, the way that Democrats do here in New York and across America. Now, these are difficult times for our country, but I have never been prouder to be a New Yorker or a Democrat than I am today. Let's remind ourselves, Democrats are the party that rescued our economy from the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Democrats are the party that passed and then saved the Affordable Care Act. Democrats helped keep Planned Parenthood's doors open. We're the party that will save Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security from persistent Republican attacks. We are the party that will keep fighting every day to achieve universal health care and universal job opportunities. So don't let anybody tell you differently. If you want an economy that works for you and your family, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you want to be sure you will have affordable, quality health care, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you want to protect and expand the rights of all Americans, not just those in the top 1%, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you believe in a woman's right to equal pay and to make her own health care decisions, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you believe in well-funded public schools and colleges that respect our teachers and help students succeed, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you believe we need actual common sense gun safety laws to save lives, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you understand that we are facing a real crisis with climate change, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you believe we can stand up for our values and keep our country safe, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you believe in comprehensive immigration reform and protecting dreamers, you've got to vote for Democrats. If you believe in getting money out of politics and getting all voters to the polls, you've got to vote for Democrats. And if you believe that standing up for evidence and reason and respecting the rule of law is critical to our democracy, you've got to vote for Democrats. You know, now more than ever, we need leaders who will stand up for progressive values and stand up to those who try to turn neighbor against neighbor and sow seeds of division. Most of all, we need leaders who believe in producing results and getting things done. Leaders like Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul. Now, I've had the personal privilege of knowing and working alongside Governor Cuomo for a long time, ever since he worked in the Clinton administration as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. There I saw his compassion and determination as he worked to confront homelessness. We traveled together to Puerto Rico after Hurricane George, and I saw how committed he is to solving problems and making our country more resilient. And I'm not surprised that he is the only elected official consistently trying to help Puerto Rico right now. As our governor, he has led the way forward on so many issues that matter to New York's hardworking families. Under Governor Cuomo's leadership, our state has erased a $10 billion deficit and added more than 1 million private sector jobs. I was proud to stand with him when New York became the first state to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. because no one who works full-time should have to raise their family in poverty. And after the heartbreak of the 2016 election, I was overjoyed when Governor Cuomo announced plans to put an affordable college education within reach for every New Yorker. He made our state the first in the nation to provide tuition-free college for low-income and middle-class families. But that's not all. Since Governor Cuomo took office, New York has passed marriage equality, implemented common-sense gun safety laws, and adopted the strongest paid family leave policy anywhere in America. So our state is a shining example of the progress that's possible when we have tough, experienced Democratic leaders defending our values, standing up to the onslaught of attacks from this president and Republicans in Congress. And that's exactly what Andrew Cuomo has done. Whether he is standing with immigrant families, fighting back against tax changes that will harm New Yorkers, or writing an open letter to the administration after the school shooting in Texas, urging them to do something. He is not afraid to take on anyone who tries to hurt this state or our country. And I know he will continue to rally others to join this fight. And I hope he's going to have some new allies come November. That's one of the many reasons I'm thrilled that Stacey Abrams won the Democratic gubernatorial primary in Georgia last night. I supported her in the primary, and I look forward to supporting her campaign in the months to come. Now, of course, Governor Cuomo isn't doing all of this alone. We are fortunate to have a really terrific congressional delegation representing us in Washington. Committed elected officials here in New York, like Tom DiNapoli, my longtime friend who just addressed you, and exciting candidates up and down the ticket. And despite the very real challenges we're facing, I am inspired by the wave of grassroots energy and activism we're seeing across New York and across America. People in every corner of this state are mounting a massive resistance. From the students marching to demand an end to gun violence, to the people from all walks of life who are standing with immigrants and dreamers, to the advocates speaking out for criminal justice reform. And that's one of the reasons I started a new group called Onward Together, to lift up and fund and support these people and groups on the front lines of fighting for our shared progressive values. I'm also really inspired by women who are making their voices heard like never before. It was women lawyers who first brought their colleagues together at airports to support our Muslim neighbors in the wake of the first travel ban. And it is so fitting that the state where Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony and many others came together in Seneca Falls all those years ago to declare for the first time that all men and women are created equal, is now home to leaders like Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. I've worked with Kathy for a long time, and I have really admired the way she has consistently stood up for progressive values in places where it's not so easy. Having represented this state for 8 wonderful years, it's one thing to stand up and fight for civil rights and LGBT rights and women's rights in a place where people already agree with you. But with Kathy, it was walking right into the lion's den, and she never wavered. She is one tough customer, and I'm so glad she's going to continue as our lieutenant governor. You know, we're lucky as New Yorkers because we stand on the shoulders of brave trailblazers and history makers. So our charge today is to pick up that torch, carry it high, carry it proudly, knowing that each of us is fighting, in the words of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, not for ourselves alone, but for generations to come. Now, we're not going to win every fight. Take it from me. But if we stand together for the values we share, We will get there together. And then I know our best days as Democrats and New Yorkers and Americans are still ahead. Let's go win these elections in November. Thank you. God bless you.
Do we love Hillary Clinton? You know, on behalf of everyone here, on behalf of all the Democrats in New York, listening to you your speech, it is so inspirational. You talk about carrying a torch. You carried the torch. You are the one who really showed so many girls and women their potential and encouraged them to stand up. You are the one who always taught us to set the bar higher. You're an inspiration, you're a crusader, you're a pioneer, and we are so grateful that you are a New Yorker, and we are so proud of you. And thank you so much for changing everything and coming here to be with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, thanks so much. Thank you all.
Damn right it should.